and comments expressed on this show are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production of Glory 93.9 FM.
Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street.
Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women.
Wardrobe provided by Bahari Bahamas. Visit shopbahari.com. And good morning, everyone, and welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to have fun today. I am calling the show today Political Chess Moves. What do elections, shantytowns, and resignations have in common? Yeah, we're going to have fun today. And this is sort of indirectly a part two, because when I was at the other place, I did a part one of this conversation. And my guest at the time is my guest again today on this. And I'm talking about none other than C. Alan Johnson. And he, at that time, broke down how the competent authority position was being used for, in his view, political gain as it relates to the person that holds the position of competent authority. It was C. Allen's theory that he was going to hold on to this competent authority thing as long as he could and actually ride it all the way into election, because this was, in a way, a protectionary mode for him to protect him from losing his position as leader of the Free National Movement and by extension, Prime Minister. And at the time when we did that show, I mean, people lost their natural minds. I had people called in, and this one lady in particular called in, and she sounded like she was about to have a stroke. She was so angry. And, people were like, oh, y'all talking foolishness, yada, 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 this is a bunch of foolishness. And yet here we are, March of 2021, still under this emergency order being led by the competent authority. And everything that C. Allen said on that show was right. Even though people said he was being ridiculous and it was ludicrous, yada, 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 not a bunch of foolishness. But yet here we are. And so now we're getting these announcements about shanty towns and, people being having an entitlement to land, and then we see people crossing the aisle in the House of Assembly and leaving one party and joining the next, and then other ones making surprise announcements that they won't be contending again, and then others having to step down under clouds of controversy. And it's like, What does all of this have to do with each other? Because I don't want you to believe for 1 second that it is not all interrelated. And see, Alan, I'm getting some feedback from you, so you need to turn down something. Um, I'm getting feedback from you, so turn down whatever you have turned up. So, see, Alan has joined me again
on
to
the
talk.
clouds of controversy. And
I can hear it really loud right now. Whatever you did, you just turned it up, C. Allen. So whatever that is you got going on, you need to turn that down. So C. Allen has joined me once again to talk about these political chess moves. What does this all mean? Why are we still in emergency order being ruled by one man as a competent authority? And why is this one man making these announcements at this kind of time, talking about who entitled to land and all these kind of things? What's really going on here, C. Allen? Welcome back to the show.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Yes. Go ahead, C. Allen. We can hear you. Okay. I don't know if he obviously can't hear me. C. Allen, we can hear you. Can you? Wow. Okay. I'm not sure. Let me send him a message to let him know we could hear him, but it's going to be hard to have a conversation if he can't hear me. So I think he was trying out some Bluetooth thing. I think you need to put that Bluetooth down and just go back to.
Yeah, I'm not hearing you. So can you give me about 15 seconds? Let me exit, reset my mic, and come back in.
Okay. Yes. So let's let him do that and see what happens when he gets back. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. And, some people probably will still try to argue that what is being said ain't making no sense, but it's kind of funny. It's hard to argue with the evidence that's right before you, because everything that Allen predicted back then that was going to happen with regard to this competent authority and his efforts to hold on to power through the competent authority, everything he said, every single thing he said, we find ourselves in right now. So clearly the man was onto something. And you all know we in the silly season, right? You all know election right around the corner, right? You all know that, right? So clearly, when you see things happening, you got to now put two and two together and figure out, okay, what's really going on here? I am trying to encourage you all to stop looking at things just on the surface and pay attention to what's really going on. And if you do that, then you'll see that this is really all just a political game of chess. And I want you to be able to figure this out, because I want you to go into this next election as an informed electorate. Don't just go vote based on your emotions, but go and vote based on information. Go be an informed electorate. Look at issues. What are the issues at stake? I don't think until we get to that point where we really start to make these decisions based on information and issues, we playing games, man, and we lose it. The people, the masses, are the ones who lose it in this chess game. So that's why I wanted to do this show today, because clearly something's amiss. That announcement about who entitled to land this time is not, that's not a coincidence that announcement is coming at this time. So let's see if we can get C. Allen back. Okay, can you hear me now? C. Allen, can you hear me now?
Just give me a second. I must still adjust.
Okay. Let's hope his adjustment works. Okay, he's adjusting his camera. That's not working. He just turned himself sideways. No, C. Allen, that's not. Let me remove him from the stream until he figures out what's going on his side. Okay, so yeah, that's what we're dealing with today on the show. And we would love to hear from you once the conversation gets going. Our call line is 828-3543, 828-3543. And the number to text is 828-2543, 828-2543. So again, the number to call, 828-3543, 828-3543 is the number to call. And the number to text, 828-2543. Make sure you like and share this show. Like and share this show, because we are going to be once again just putting the truth out there and letting the chips fall where they may. And what you decide to do with that on you. We ain't trying to tell you what to decide, but we just giving you the information, and then you could decide what you want to do with that. So hopefully Sialan will get his technical issues sorted out pretty soon, because what does kill me with Sialan, right? He's supposed to be the technical guy, right? So he shouldn't be having these technical problems. we gotta rib him for that. Okay, so in the meantime, let's look at a couple of your comments. So let's see. Stacy says, Lady Malcolm, you look nice. Oh, thank you, Stacy. I can't take all the credit, though. Thanks to Sonia Lang at JD Edwards Salon and Spa in the Madera Shopping Plaza, who does my hair for me every day. And I ain't gonna lie, since I started going to Sonia every day, my hair is like, oh my God, so much. I don't know what she does, but I don't look the same when I do it myself. Thank God for hairdressers, because she really knows her stuff. I mean, it's just amazing what she's been doing with my hair. So thank you, Sonia, for the marvelous work that you do. And also thank you to Chevette Williamson for the fabulous jewelry that she has been sponsoring for the show. And again, if you want to purchase some of Chevette's jewelry, you can go to beatingandcraftgallery.com, beatingandcraftgallery.com. And if you type in GPS and the code at checkout, you get yourself a nice little discount. So she's rewarding all of the GPS listeners and watchers with a discount on her jewelry. And then finally, big thanks to Bahari, Bahamas, my newest sponsor, for dressing me. I've been a fan of Bahari for a long time, so I, would occasionally buy their stuff. And now I'm getting to wear it every day. And I just want to say thank you to Morgan Fernanda and the whole team at Bahari, because their stuff is fabulous. And you don't have to go in there with your land papers to afford the stuff. So if you want to support Bahamian businesses, those three I would like to encourage you to support, because they are helping me to come to you in the manner that I do. So thank you so much. So Stacy says, while we're waiting for C. Allen to get his act together, the emergency order is utter garbage. I don't know. How come we're still in the emergency? How come we're still in the emergency? What? Anyhow, I can let C. Allen break that down for you. I just think I agree with you, Stacy. He running out now. He running out. This is not necessary. And, you just need to call it what it is. This is your attempt to hold on to power. In my personal opinion. Anyway, Stacy says the emergency order is about control, not a virus. Yeah, he trying to hold on to power, man. And, one thing you have to give Mr. Minnis credit for is knowing how to play political chess. He knows how to maneuver. He knows how to survive. He knows how to move those pieces when stuff. I mean, just look at what went down when the whole thing went down with Loretta Butler Turner. I mean, this man knows how to maneuver. He knows how to play that chess game, right? You got to give him credit for that. So he's very calculated. He doesn't just do things just for the sake of doing it. And that's why I think it's important to do shows like this, to sort of, raise some questions as to why are you really doing this? Is this another one of your chess moves? Okay, C. Allen looks like he's back up. I don't know if he can still hear, if he can hear us as yet. C. Allen, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. While I try to get my earpiece working, just let's talk.
Oh, C. Allen, you're supposed to be this technical guru. How come you always having technical problems on you? What's the deal? I gotta start.
When I walk into the house, I have so many devices connected. If I show you the computers, I have to find out what my devices automatically connect to when I'm
My
late
God.
in getting in.
My God. All right. I can let that one slide.
Hey, it's the curse of technology I have. When I'm running late, it causes me to not be where I need to be. So blame it on my lateness, not the technology.
Okay. All right. I can let that one slide. All right. So welcome to the show, man. So listen now. This man at it again. With these
No, not at it again. He never
he never
stopped.
stopped. Okay. That's a good one. Okay. So break this down for my audience now. Because back in the other place, when you talked about how he was using this competent authority as a means to hold on to his power. There were some people who were really very angry at you for coming up with this garbage you were talking, and you talking foolishness and yada, 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 yada. They carry on dead, but here we are. Here we are.
Actually, I calculated it. I was off by 1 day. And my calculation
God.
and he was going to extend it to May. My calculation was, if you go back, I said to May 22nd. He actually extended it to May 23rd.
My God.
Yeah.
So what for those of my audience out there who still ain't get it yet, who still ain't figure out what's going on here? Why does he have to hold on to this competent authority position in order to maintain control and power?
Well, what happens is that, believe it or not, this actually started about 8+ years ago, when he became the accidental leader of the Free National Movement.
What do you mean by accidental leader?
Because essentially after the FNM, the Free National Movement, had lost the election, he was it was my understanding the intent was to make Loretta Butler Turner leader of opposition business, but she was out of the town at that time. And Hubert Alexander Ingram took him to the Governor General, and they basically used his brunt force and made him official leader of official majesty opposition that Friday before she got back that Monday. And so I think it was with the intent of eventually doing what I call another Tommy Turnquest on the party, where he gets to come back. He loses, do the honorable thing, resign, and come back in. The problem that
you're talking about Ingram.
Yes, I'm talking about Ingram.
Okay.
The problem is that Hubert Alexander Minnis had a partner that fully understand the whole process of the Free National Movement, and his name is Cyril Boxer Minnis, that he understood how to maintain the power. So if you watch what happened right then and there, they began a slow move to replace all of Ingram councillors, not stalwart, meritorious or council members, and they began to replace all of them. So by time the cards on the deck was shuffled, it was impossible to move Hubert Alexander Minnis because he was entrenched. Now, believe it or not, this actually goes back, if you go back a little further on how Minnis became even a politician, it goes back to the DNA. Now, what happens was, when the DNA was first being discussed, a consideration was given, the name hadn't been derived yet, but there was a move against Minnis for a group of individuals, and the same that's happening now with the independence and coalition that's going on. And Kendall Wright was looked at as a strong possible leader within the parliament of that coalition. Hubert Alexander Ingram got wind of that, and he then began to make arrangements to isolate Kendall Wright. And that's how that seat got eliminated. Kalani was born, and his friend and business partner, Hubert Alexander Minnis, was asked to run in Kalani. That's how the accidental thing happened. Meetings continue to go on, and eventually the DNA did evolve out of those continuation of those meetings. But if you go back to the DNA, you'll begin to see, I was one of those people that even when he was saying that he was going to take Bamboo-Town, I was the one of those that went to Bamboo-Town to defend it was a pre-announcement of the DNA to defend the position in Bamboo-Town, and that's when I had a chair thrown at me. That's when people started calling me a chairman, because it was me and Sally Moss and I And I basically went there to just let him know that he was nothing but a coward, just bullying people. And so he just walked out of the meeting. In the middle of his meeting that he announced in the House of Parliament, that if you go to the Senate, you see him say, I going to Bamboo Town for my things. So I was waiting in Bamboo Town for him and said, what things you came for? So then we emerged further, minister's name as a candidate for this new area called Kalani. And then he wins the seat because it's a strong F&M seat. And so then now the F&M moved and they lost the election. And there was a fight for leadership. So essentially, Hubert Ingram moved to put what he considered a low bench to overcome, except for Boxer shutting all of the doors. And so they spent 4 years trying to remove Hubert Alexander Minnis, leading straight up. That's why it was the most ineffective opposition that we ever had, because he spent his entire time defending his position straight up into election. We saw right up to election, they were trying to remove him. And one of the things of that was that you also have to understand the power that Dwayne Sands plays in this. And so it's a family pedigree, whatever they call it. It's the fact that Dwayne Sands and Tommy Turnquest happens to be a brother and sister's children, their first cousins. Okay. And so the fact is that it has always been Oliver Turnquest, I mean, the senior Turnquest, to be leader of the country. And then he tried to have that fulfilled through his son, who was double-crossed by the current prime minister. In fact, Tommy Turnquest was prime minister for 1 year and didn't know it. 1 year leading to the 2007 election, there's no such thing as in the F&M Constitution as an interim leader or whatever they call it. And our Constitution in the Bahamas made him the leader of the party, would have made him prime minister, but they convinced him that this was some position. So when the party lost, he handed it to him, came back in 2007, before the election, and took it back from him. That was supposed to be repeated in 2012, except Minnis was able to overcome that, spend all of the time. Now, so essentially how you asked, well, how did the Turnquest place in this? Since Tommy was eliminated as the possibility, the nearest bloodline to Sir Turnquest is his nephew, which is Dwayne Sands. And so when you go back and look all the way back to 2007, you'll see that Hubert Alexander Ingram, after winning, was fighting to put Dwayne Sands in the Senate, put him in the House with the by-election for Elizabeth and everything, made the person a judge so he could, orderly a judge, whatever, so he could move out of the way, trying to get Dwayne Sands in to make right the wrong he did in 2007. And from whatever time that Dwayne Sands was running a by-election to now, it has been in the background, the Hubert Alexander clan against the oligarch clans against the normal people. So it's like 4 or 5 different factions, because believe it or not, the Lifelkey clan and the Bay Street clan is not one and the same people, nor is the Turnquest clan, nor is the Hubert Alexander clan, nor now is the Minnis clan. In fact, the F&M is nothing but a fractured party. And so essentially, we now go to the election. He wins by default, being able to maintain his position. And they've continuously tried to move him. And as I said to you in that conversation, I think that was June or July of last year, was that when the post office deal was done, was also one of their final attempts to remove him. In fact, he was going to be removed in September, because once the post office deal was done, he violated the tenets of why he should remain prime minister. And I believe that at that particular time, that Brent Simonet, after that deal was consummated, because Brent Simonet is not naive enough to run on a show and talk for an hour and confess to something that required him to vacate his seat instantly. Right. And so it was to remove him, except something happened on September 1st.
Well, I tell you what happened. Hubert Alexander Minnis is very, very, very good at maneuvering. He is very good. He knows the game and how to maneuver.
This is where people, he's a sleight of hand. I hear people say all of the time, oh, he's a doctor. No, not a doctor in the purest sense. He's a gynecologist. he's not a leader, but he's a politician that understands the game of politics. But I'm saying to you, I don't think personally it's him. You have to understand who Cyril Boxer Minnis is. He was the protege of Kendall Knowledge and Whitfield and the rest of them. And so he learned at their feet. And he, for decades, he learned the game of politics. And he learned the F&M party. And he was an outsider. And so he's still an outsider. But he was there was able, by seeing how the game is played and seeing the rules of the game, have been able to take the party. And so this is why from 2016, the F&M has not had a convention. And in fact, in last week, Monday's paper, without any questioning, Hubert Alexander Minnis, through his chairman, made an announcement that the F&M will have a convention by December 2021. That ties into this whole conversation we're having with this lockdown, because the F&M, again, all the way, even though we move in COVID. Sorry, let me jump back before I go this thing. After Dorian came, another move was made to remove Minnis in February of 2020. He was able to bypass that by virtue of having what is called a quick conclave. And so another move was being made, and it was something that Minnis could not avoid, would have been a forced convention for his removal in June of 2020. That's where you'll see where these dates begin to line up. So COVID provide a perfect cover for him. And that's when he colluded with his attorney general and began to align the dates. And so when we went into lockdown on March 20th, the clock started running for 180 days. And so now that he was competent authority, no one could meet, no convention, anything without his consent. And so he took that straight pass into June. Then an accident happened. It wasn't an accident. They told us it was an accident because the QC, the Attorney General, is not that we may think it's incompetent. He is. I say he's another level of incompetence. And I noticed that this mistake, something, when he clicked it, I said, okay, good, they're going to get rid of him in July. Something clicked. And he said that he made a mistake of not renewing the emergency order, which automatically extended it when you renew it for 180 days, which took it into December 23rd or something. This is where we talked about. We said right in and there that he's going to have to renew this by December 23rd for another 6 months, protecting him to a 4-year and 1 day date. And when I calculated, I said, holy cow, the date he made the mistake created a perfect storm to give me the 22nd of May. I said, if he gets this renewal and do this one more time, he would land exactly at 4 years. So I started to think, why would he want 4 years? Then the pension came in. The accompaniments of prime ministerhood kicks in on 4 years of being prime minister. We have this thing of serving 4 years for one term and 8 years for 2 terms to get the full benefits of prime minister. That include the police, the old riders, and everything that the other former prime ministers have. And so I said, this guy is going to use, when I saw the disregard that he was showing for COVID and the fact that he said he was acting as a competent authority as a group, but all of his decisions was in isolation, I said, there's 2 things going to happen. He will renew this at the end of December for another 6 months, taking him into May, or he will be removed as prime minister by the F&M party. And I knew he was not going to just walk away from after 7 years of fighting. So ultimately, I calculated and says, wow, the 22nd of May is a perfect date. If they try to remove him, he can use the threat of calling an election, which is the protection provided to him in the Constitution. So essentially, he's had a safe thing. Everybody was sitting around in December saying, okay, this is the end of it. Based on the data that was available to us in the public sphere, and this is why they never released the data on COVID, there was no reason for any continuation of this lockdown that we have. We could have been handed over to an external group of people, just like he's claiming that he wants to do right now. So what he did in December, I just sat back and I told everybody, I'll bet 10 to 1 that he's going to renew this straight to May. Sure enough, he did. And he came back with the marketing that is going to be till January for 30 days. But I said, if you wanted 30 days, you didn't need to go straight, straight to May. You could lock it. I told people, say, oh, let's go over it in January. I said, no, in January, you can extend it for 5 more months. And that's going to be the end of it. And then what happens now, he's in the pit. Here's what happens now. The FNM still wants to remove him. If you begin to watch what he's doing, he is actually has begun to eliminate any heir to the throne, or attempted to, any heir to the throne of the FNM party. That's why he had Dwayne Sands on the chopping list. Many other people who won't run again. He got rid of the minister of NIB, which happens to be, in my mind, a Ingram loyalist. And he's just basically clearing the path. And this is why he even had Dwayne Sands on his chopping list. But you notice what happens is that when he was threatened with Dwayne Sands, like he was threatened with Pintard, he resented. In fact, I tell people all the time, he was so afraid of the Turnquest clan that he named a building after him and gave Dwayne Sands a nomination. Okay?
Well, here's what I'm saying, what I'm hearing as it relates to Dwayne Sands. I'm hearing that prior to Lanisha Roll resigning, that Dwayne Sands and his camp were being locked out of the Free National Movement headquarters.
Yes.
They weren't even letting them in. And then when Lanisha Roll resigned, then that changed everything.
Because we were busy looking at the politics in the front. We wasn't looking at the politics in the back office. In the back office of the FNM, it's been in turmoil. And this is why, even for Grand Bahama, he had consideration of not nominating a number of the individuals from Grand Bahama beyond Peter Turnquest. Now, you have to understand is that, notice the name Turnquest. Peter Turnquest is also not considered one of Minnis loyalists. So this is why you saw the orchestration of that lawsuit being filed simply to remove Peter Turnquest. Because he wanted
that, because they knew about that situation a long time.
No, they did. But that's what I'm saying to you. But what happens is that thing about removing Peter Turnquest was also about rewarding his number one protector. Actually, he had two protectors, One of them was the government business, Renwood Wells, is the number one protector. And the second one who served to protect him is the one that he's afraid of now, Speaker of the House. When the Speaker of the House found out his threatery, that's when the Speaker of the House said, wait a minute, as much as I've done in 3.5 years to give him the advantage, this guy wants to get rid of me. Because Minnis also understand the Speaker of the House is of a PLP philosophy. So Minnis will use whoever he can, whenever he can, to achieve whatever he wants to. And so he had no more use for the Speaker of the House because he had the protection till May. Here's what happens. Minnis has realized now that he cannot go past May 25th. Not only he gets to accomplish his date, but the budget must be tabled. We are about $2 billion short, on top of the $1.5 billion. Mm-hmm. The next budget is going to carry us very close to 100% of GDP in loans. And essentially, we're going to have to move VAT to as much as 18%. We may have to reduce the civil service by about 40%. And so you cannot increase VAT to 18%. You cannot get rid of 40% of the civil service and government corporations and everything else, and then go to the election and says, just give me one more chance. And so what Minnis has been trying to do is orchestrate an election for between the 10th of May and the 17th, so that he can be completed in time to be sworn in to be able to table the budget on the 25th.
Okay. Okay. Stick a pin in that, because we like 9 minutes past the time that we're supposed to be taking a break. And if I mind you, I'll go till 1 o'clock and we'll still be talking, but we got to pay some bills. So let's take a break, make way for our sponsors, and then we can pick up right where you just dropped that, because that heavy. You just dropped something heavy. So stay with us, everybody. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Stop letting these other guys run you hot while looking for ice. No need to check the food store, the gas station, conveniently located around Nassau. Cooler Ice. So for just $3 you can get a bag of ice whenever you want, or refill your 5-gallon bottle for the same $3. The ice machine is closer than you know. Cooler Ice. With locations at Arawak Key, Potter's Key Dock, Montague Boat Ramp, Superwash locations at Prince Charles, Carmichael Road, Soldier Road, Charles Saunders Highway, and 3 new locations: Superwash Nassau Street, Wolf Road, and Gibbs Corner. Cooler Ice Bahamas, fresh and ready whenever you are.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all: schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466. At Lee Air, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm. My guest today is the one and only critical thinker, C. Alan Johnson. And we are talking about political chess moves, y'all. What is the connection between all these little funny things you see going on, all the little talk about who got entitlement to land, and this one crossing the floor in the House of Assembly, and resignations, and what a tangled web. What a tangled web. So that's what we're talking about today. I want to read a couple of your messages in text. This one coming via WhatsApp says, I am bothered by both political parties' displays of corruption and ineptitude. However, time is passing, and I know that I cannot be on two ends of the spectrum. If the PLB changes the leadership, Philip Brave Davis and Fred Mitchell, I will throw my support behind that party right away. But it seems definite that I am finished with the F&M. This party is literally owned by a select few. The rest are just stepping stones. I'm hoping the DNA will manifest a more intellectual experience and substantive platform from which I can make a contribution to the development of the Bahamas. It is a generally shared notion that the voting populace has had enough of the two major parties. The two parties are running past for each other. And if we, the people, and it is we, the people, who are getting shafted. From Godson Johnson, aka Nicodemus. All right, so another, let's go to some of your comments on Facebook. Stacy says, in every country, the competent authority was a group of people. Only here in the Bahamas, the competent authority is one person. What an utter disgrace. Stacy also says, all the tea is being spilled today and it's hot. Child. I promise y'all this is going to be a hot one. Make sure you like and share the show, y'all. Like and share this show. We got to get the word out. Okay, so Delphine says, wow, from the beginning, it was all about who they want to control, the puppets and the puppet masters. Pretty much so, yeah. So, C. Allen. Okay. So, you dropped something just before the break that I think is like mind-blowing. I need you to break that down for us. Okay? Help us to understand the magnitude of what you said.
Very easily, let's go back to June of last year. We came in the middle of the COVID epidemic. They said we're going to be short 1.2 billion.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't even measuring the deficit that we had, about 700 million before that. So when we the previous debt. So what happens is we anticipated for the whole year, from June of last to June of this year, we're going to need to borrow $1.2 billion that was approved. The problem is, as of December 31st, just for the first 6 months, we have borrowed 2.1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, we said we was going to be short out of a $3 billion budget. We anticipated, based on what they said, is that we're going to be short 6 months later, out of a $3 billion budget, we had to borrow 2.1 billion. That tells you how much the economy has tanked. Now, remembering also that the majority of the revenue produced by government comes in the second half of the year, the second half of the budgetary year, meaning that the government don't begin to produce revenue until January to June.
Mm-hmm.
Take into the fact that we may have as much as 70% plus, maybe as much as 75% unemployment. And people say, oh, what they said about 40%. Let me explain to you guys what unemployment is. If you have not looked for a job in the last 90 days, you are not counted as unemployed. So all of you guys who have lost your job from 6 months ago and you have not looked for a job because you said there's no businesses open, you can't leave the house, it's locked down, you are not counted as unemployed. For those of you that are furloughed, who have not went to work in 10 months, 11 months, you are considered employed. So when they said 40%, they're talking about the ones who lost their jobs from the MSMEs, the micro, small and medium businesses, the stores in the mall and on the street. That's what the 40% is. Because until they fire the rest of you, you are considered employed because you're protected. You're not considered fired until 30 days after the expiration of the emergency order. So no one who currently is listed working for Atlantis, Bahamas, and everything, unless you get a termination, is counted as unemployed until June 25th of this year. So you're not counted in the unemployment group. So this is where the distortion comes in, what they're telling you. And let me tell you why that is very important, and that economic picture is an important role. We often talk this $12 billion economy. The IMF in January this year listed it as 13.9. That means the economy grew in spite of what happened. And this is a contribution that Greg Moss made a few days ago, releasing some of these numbers. You would see that, let's take, for example, and pretend that every working person in the Bahamas is making the GDP of the $25,000 a year that they say they make. Now let's extrapolate from that at the WAS, which is less than 200,000. So when you times that 25,000 by 200,000, you'll end up with about $9 to $10 billion, give or take. So everybody's making $24,000 a year, give or take. That leaves about $9 billion unaccounted for. If you want to understand the economy, I want you to understand between 1,500 people, maybe much of 2,000, they make the other $9 billion. So you have 1,500 people that takes home $9 billion in this economy, and the other 200,000 workers have to share the other $4 billion. So that is what is missing. That $4 billion that we scrape by on in this economy is where the vacuum has occurred. And so that's where the government makes its tax from, because you don't VAT tax the other $1 billion, because the government would be having is called a consumption tax, a carbon tax, gas and food and clothes and VAT and everything. So if you start out with 12% and then you added out of the customs duty, you could very easily see where if you look at the $4 billion, you can see where the government gets its tax from. That's by taxing, and this other greater part of the economy remain untaxed, and this is why they don't get income tax. But that's going to be a conversation for another day.
Yeah, that's another show. And
So
we're
right
having some
in the
issues.
Bahamas, 75.
Well, I'm not sure what's going on with your internet, but you're dipping in and out.
Okay, no, it might be. Yeah, let me go back off the. Give me 1 second here.
Just make sure you can continue to hear us, whatever you change in. Okay, so while you're doing that, I wanna throw a question at you. So when okay, we see during this emergency order, most people would, we all on lockdown, but yet the competent authority was finding reason to go to all these different family islands during the lockdowns, right?
Yes.
Now, my question is this. Do you believe that the reason why he has been concentrating so much on the family islands is because he realizes you got to get to 20 to win the government? We got 39 seats in the House of Assembly. So whoever gets to 21st wins the government. Do you believe that the reason why he is concentrating so much on the family islands and making statements now about who entitled to the land, do you believe that that has anything to do with the fact that maybe he sees that New Providence can be a little hard for him to get close to 20? So he gotta do as much as he could do to find it from elsewhere to get to that 20? What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, but we have to look at his trips doing as competent authority. The first set of trips before he went, he just went by himself with no one, because he was not campaigning for votes from the public.
Right.
He was securing his votes in council. He went to meet the FNMs, but it was just disguised. This is where he's good at the sleight of hands. So he disguised his trips and went there, say looking at this and that, but he went to meet with the FNM council members just in case something happened. If it's only after he got the extension that he began to go back to the islands and began to have these groundbreakings and these openings and these bridges and everything else. And so it looks as if though he visited for a second time. But if you take for a moment and stop and ask, what did he do the first time? He did nothing but stop and looked around. Say he went there for running. Remember, he even had to be just almost like went for a run on the beach.
Yeah.
He was trying to find delegates at the advantage, using the competent authority as an advantage over those that are still trying to remove him. It is only now that he's using the threat of an election, both against those who are trying to remove him, as well as those who knows that he can't go past this June date without revealing a huge taxation debt. And the junior minister of finance already said, we're not going to have income tax. So the only way to go is to tax the very few people who's working. So a lot of people will say, oh, you'll go up to VAT for 15%. You can't, because you can't go to 15% and generate the revenue needed from the small pool of workers that's working. So you have to hit them for 18% to actually at least provide, because you cannot go to the lenders. They can ask you, where's your revenue going to come back to pay us from? Because we are in what they call, we're in shark territory. And when I use the word shark territory, I'm talking about the concept that we are in loan shark territory. And we saw that with the loan that KP the Turnquest got when we went paying that $20 million a year or something of that. And so essentially you can't go to the lenders and say, we will just make up money from somewhere. They go, no, tell us where you're going to get it from. It is only from taxes. Now you also have to watch the talking heads, because the talking heads has began to talk about why we should borrow the money internally. That is in case something expedient comes up and he's not comfortable enough to call the election. Essentially, what Plan B, from my analysis, would be is to not mention the raise of taxes, but to actually borrow the money internally. He already borrowed the $2.1 billion, a lot of it in US currency that props up our foreign exchange. And because the tourists are not coming to the Bahamas, we don't have that much of a strain on our reserves. This is why he kept saying it's still at $2 billion, because we're not buying food for them and things for them and doing whatever else. And most people are living on a starvation diet. And so the whole exchange isn't being depleted as it should, because the economy is not there for us bringing in goods and services. So essentially, he can come with a smoke mirror if they can pull it together. I don't know if he and his junior minister have the competence to pull it together, but I'm sure they have some outside help. Nor does the financial secretary. But if they can pull it together and find some money, just enough to BS us until December, what would happen was you would see, and if you listen to, remember I said to you, he said he promised the FNM a full convention by December 2021. So that basically removes the delegates and other people from going to the FNM public and making the demands for an election. So he could take us straight into December by borrowing whatever money, padding the books, and simply saying there's going to be no tax increase, knowing that we're going to be falling flat on our face. I mean, uncontrollable deficits, essentially a lying budget for June. He can still come back in, and before a FNM convention, which would allow them to remove him, he can set a date for an early January poll, because he has no less than 21 days, but whatever, he could put it for 90 days, whatever. So before February 15th of next year for the beginning of Lent, he could basically BS us straight until December and then call an election for early January, which will cause the FNM to be pretty hesitant. They'll be in campaign mode as opposed to convention mode.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to do the convention thing, no.
Right, and so he'll be safe in that respect. So in essence, what is happening right now on the ground is, I'm sure he, Kwesi, and Marlon Johnson is looking around as to where could they find this fed up, or you say some shingles or whatever to pad the to cover the roof or pad the roof until December. So in the absence of getting that, he is going to call an election, and the election must be called between the 10th and the 17th. That's the dates I'm giving, because the budget has to be tabled of May of this year.
Wait. You have me confused. He has to call an election by when?
If he can't find the money to pad the books, we will have an election between the 10th and the 17th of May.
So you think this is all predicated on whether or not he'll be able to get this money?
Yes, to find the money to
because he doesn't want it to come out in June. How about a state period? That's what you're saying,
right? Because if they don't find this money to lie to us, he needs to then find the money. If you can find the money locally, maybe $1.5 billion to $2 billion. If he can find some people who would talk to them and Life Key and whatever else to buy these local bonds, because we have enough money in the central bank to carry us till January. So if he can find the local money, he can borrow the money, give us a whole line of story, and avoid telling us that he has to get rid of the civil service and the taxes. In the absence of finding this money within the next 60 days, this is why the campaign is setting up. He's setting up a campaign that will run either for 3 months or for 8 months. Or for 10 months. Because essentially, if he does not find this money, which is going to be very hard to find, he has to go to a poll before he makes an announcement that I will be firing 40% of the civil service and increasing VAT to 18%. Because by the 25th of May, that has to be tabled so they could debate it in the House of Assembly and in the thing. Remember, they comes in and it has to be debated in the House of Assembly, go to the Senate and to the Governor General before July 1st. So when you take away June for that time to happen, you only left for mid-May to the end of May. Considering that the budget has to be tabled, you could prepare the budget by all of the other ministries, right? But never tell them how are you going to come up with the money? Remember, the ministries only prepare what they anticipate, what they need. It's government's responsibility, Ministry of Finance, to say how the tax is going to come into play. He doesn't have to say that. So the budget is prepared. No communication is made about taxes or reduction in service. So you go to an election, just like we did in May of 2017, and then the next person, the minister loses, you'll hear the PLP say, it ain't our budget, it's his budget, and we have to tax you because this is how they left it or whatever.
Right.
Once minister secure another 5-year term, he'll just come and say, it is what it is.
Whatever you want to do.
And so ain't nothing we could do once he wins another election without telling us that he intends to raise taxes and reduce the civil service.
So the word on the street, the allegations were that one of the reasons why he pushed for that oil exploration to go through, even though they did not have to renew that contract, the allegations were that one of the reasons why he pushed for that to go through is because he was hoping that they would have found this oil and that would have given him the money that he needed to do what he needed to do. But the well come up dry.
Right. This is why they had that meeting on Bay Street before the restaurant closed. They raised the money to pay. Remember now, BPC could not pay the licensing fees. And this again is another orchestration. Watch what happened. They raised the money locally from the oligarchs to pay BPC fees. BPC then wrote the check to the government to pay the delinquent fees. But guess what happened? When the check reached, do you remember the Attorney General did not cash the check? So had BPC was successful in finding the oil, they would not have had a license to continue because they said it was in mediation or whatever. And so essentially they held the license. So BPC actually dug an oil well without a license, but with consent of the office of the Prime Minister, because the only person who can give consent for digging that well was the Prime Minister. The only person who could have give environmental consent was the Environmental Commission, which is the Prime Minister office. So everything in there was the Prime Minister office. Now, I want you to also notice a sleight of hand. You had the Attorney General came, and in the House, he started talking about the billions of dollars of methane that's in the waters of the Bahamas, most likely frozen. That is another setup for a conversation, not just for us, but it's also a conversation for international people to say, we have, no, even though methane is one of the most poisonous global warming aspect there is, we have billions of dollars of methane, and we can, if necessary, offer that as collateral. Now, watch very carefully. Notice immediately after that, the government ran into Parliament with an intellectual property bill giving them rights for these so-called intellectual property and research and everything. That was for the government to have access to the BPC reports. BPC did not find oil, but BPC found something else, a treasure chest of data. When that data is evaluated, you could probably find out where the oil is. There's no doubt that we sit on one of the world's largest reserve of oil. The problem is what people have to understand, and watch my hand. You had the Caribbean plate that where we sit on this plate here where the oil is, and the Caribbean plate, and when they collide, the Caribbean plate went on top of that. So you have to almost dig through two plates. So in essence, when they were digging through, they went in through an angle hoping to penetrate that second layer. They were unsuccessful. However, the data gave them most likely, and this is where freedom of information comes in, it most likely gave them the information concerning the frozen methane, and it gives them some other information concerning hydrocarbon signatures that will give them a better understanding for a second, third, or fourth drilling. And so essentially, this is why also we have to be very concerned about both the PLP, FNM, and even the DNA not making a commitment during this election that there will be no drilling or without consent or without a referendum, because this information is sitting there for exploitation of the oligarchs, the special interest, family, friends, lovers, and financiers, that we will be in such financial chaos, they will be able to exploit this for their own benefit. And so we are being set up both from a natural resources aspect, as well as for the fact that we are in a financial crisis because we refuse to invoke income tax. And so essentially, it is no if, ands, and but. I challenge anyone to go to the Progressive Liberal Party and have them make a commitment concerning not raising taxes. Don't say you're going to review it. Make a commitment that there'll be no more regressive taxes, meaning that there will have to be progressive taxation in the country, which most likely will be income, both corporate and personal income tax. Other than that, no if, ands, and but. If Brave Davis is sworn in, if Kamalafi is sworn in, they both will have to go to the same playbook that's going to be left on the table, which is reduce the civil service and tax and tax the poor people again. And so in essence, Minnis just don't be Minnis and his crew don't want to be the one. Let me just go back to another point.
Wait.
The protection.
Wait. It's 12:06.
Okay.
Take a bit in that point. We can come right back to it on the other side, but we got to take a break. So stay with us, everyone. We're going to make way for our sponsors, get their ads played, and then we're going to pick this up on the other side. Oh, Lord, we spilling the tea today, y'all. It's hot. Like and share the show. Make sure everybody knows the GPS is telling the truth today about these political chess moves that are happening right before your eyes. We'll be back in a moment.
Located on Carmichael Road, Divine Designs Hair Boutique is a haven for women and men looking for professional beauty services. Our state-of-the-art and contemporary equipment creates a relaxing ambiance for you to enjoy while we cater to you. Need a hairstylist? We cater to all types and textures of hair for care and styling. We even have a barber on duty. Need a nail tech? Our technicians provide a range of nail services, including the latest trends. Unwind in one of our massage chairs while you get your pedicure. With our reasonable rates, friendly staff, and over 20 years of experience, you will be in great hands. Call us at 823-1669 or 698-1025 to schedule your appointment. Wanna be pampered? Wanna be slayed? Let Divine Designs make your day.
Looking for an extraordinary junior high school with caring, qualified staff and affordable tuition? Then come visit us at Elite School of Excellence, an affiliate of First Step Academy. ABECA-focused and Ministry of Education approved, we foster discipline, integrity, and wisdom while molding our students for success. Call us at 341-8846 or stop by First Step Academy Schools on Fire Trail and Soldy Roads for more information. Escape from the city life to Bacon Air Beach Resort in Pirateswell, Mayaguana. Relax in one of 16 air-conditioned rooms just steps away from the ocean. Enjoy scrumptious dishes in our waterfront dining room. Sip on a tropical cocktail, or if you must, stay connected with wireless internet. Nestled on one of the most beautiful beaches in the Bahamas, Bacon Air Beach Resort offers a unique vacation experience. For reservations, call 339-3726 or 463-0182.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
And we're back. This is GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm, and today's topic is political chess moves. What do election, shanty towns, and resignations have in common? And my guest today is C. Alan Johnson, and we're breaking this down for y'all to understand that much of what you see going on, you really need to look beyond the surface, y'all, and see what is really happening in our country as it relates to these political chess moves that are being made to hold on to power. I dare say that most of the tenure of this leadership thus far has been less about development and more about survival. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, C. Alan, but let's go ahead and get back into the thought that you had started prior to the break.
Yes, what I wanted to understand is that what happens is that we must go back to watch the two protectors as to why Minnis is also preparing. And I don't think Minnis is going to do the honorable thing when this election is called, should he lose, and that is to resign. So he's making a preparation for two things.
You think he can pull a Donald Trump?
Yes, to remain in power or to put who he wants. Now, here's the problem that he has. This is why, listen to the garbage he said about he's gonna co-lead with a deputy thing. There is no deputy leadership in the Bahamas except a title we give somebody. So there's no legal definition for deputy leader of any party. There's no of deputy prime minister. It does not exist except in the minds of people. So you can't have a co-deputy. So that's a seed he's planting. Oh, we're gonna have. So,
agreed. And you know what? You know what I find so disingenuous? Okay, so you're talking about that position. But when you look at who is sitting in that position, right, that he just appointed as deputy prime minister and in essence pretty much said, oh, he's going to be pretty much running the country except for these couple of things that I'm going to focus on if I win again. This the same man who couldn't keep the lights on during that whole summer from hell, right? This is the same man under whom you had mass resignations from the board. You had people abruptly packing up and leaving. This is the same man. This is the same man who is overseeing an entity which the prime minister promised there was going to be an investigation into, and we ain't heard nothing more about that since. So I started to wonder.
This is the same man.
We got a call. I don't want to lose the caller. Caller, just hold on. Let me let C. Allen finish his thought, and then C. Allen, we're going to go to the caller.
This is the same man that actually destroyed the economy before Dorian and before Dorian and COVID. Remember, his impact on the economy was actually a 30% loss in GDP performance by the blackouts and damages and everything from the hotels and everybody else. And so it's all smoke and mirrors. This is about power and not about people. That's ultimately what you have to say.
Okay, let's go to the phone call. Caller, welcome to the show.
Hi, just a quick question. Does anybody know where your kids can register to vote if they go to school in the U.S.? Because when you call the consulates,
I don't think we have that capability, do we?
Wow.
C. Allen, can you answer that? Even though they're changing the topic.
I didn't hear.
He's questioning where his kids are in school in the States or living in the States. Where can they go to register to vote in the Bahamas?
See, this is where the rush is. Here's what happens. there should have been a place for them to register to vote at the consulates. That has not been, no provision has been made for them. And so he said the prime minister is preparing for the general election, has made no provision for people outside of the Bahamas to register to vote who became eligible after leaving, going to school, who is stuck there because of COVID and whatever else. Yes, also another part of that is that you have thousands, probably 10,000, at least thousands of people in Grand Bahama and Abaco who has been displaced from their home.
Yeah.
And we have not talked about making arrangement for them to vote in place. Now, and let me tell you why and here where again we were misled, because they're making it seem as if though there's no exception already made in laws. This could take 10 minutes to fix. Do you know that the same his children, should they be able to register to vote, can vote in the U.S. by the same way the other ambassadors and other things vote and other people in the U.S. goes to vote? The same thing can happen here in the Bahamas. You can say if you live in Grand Bahama and you're in Abaco and you're in Eleuthera or Bimini or you're in New Providence, let us know in advance and they'll transfer your information the same way they do for those other people to the Kendall Isaac gym. So you can just go in there and go to the East Grand Bahama or to the Central Grand Bahama booth or to the North Abaco booth or to the South Abaco booth. Literally speaking, if you just count Grand Bahama, that's like 7 booths that you set up in the Kendall Isaac gym for those individuals that want to vote in place, meaning to vote where they are. But we're not making any arrangement for these individuals and they become disenfranchised.
No.
And so you have to understand that this is also where
we too busy.
The ministers, no, let me say this. Canvass Grand Bahama and Abaco and still feel that he has some edge in winning in these particular seats. And you talked again about him not having the number in New Providence. The goal is to make it to 20. So Minnis figured that if he could get about 7 to 10 or more of these seats on the outer islands and 50% on New Providence, he can remain prime minister.
Yeah. Now you talk about him not making arrangements for people like just described by that caller, Bahamian students abroad. He too busy making arrangements for other people. Let's go ahead and play that clip, Elton. Let's see who he making arrangements for. Go ahead and play the clip.
Individuals who are living in these so-called dilapidated facilities of Haitian descent within Abaco or New Providence. Many are regularized. Many are Bahamians. Many are Bahamians. And they too are entitled to land also. Yes. So that they can move out of such squalor conditions in the proper facilities. We are Bahamians. We are not Haitian Bahamians. We are Bahamians. And therefore, that's the name and the brand we will carry.
Okay, see, Alan.
Let's
break
Greg
that down.
we had to go to lunch.
Make that statement right. So now, what does that statement have to do?
No, I'm saying with, no. It's politicking.
Of course. But I want you to explain
what happens. What happens is. No, let me explain. First of all, this was an argument during the gender referendum that Greg Moss and I led the vote no against the gender referendum because it was BS from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
This is an argument that we made. You can see it as part of our platform interviews with the UDP. Because remember, the FNM assimilated many of the tenets of the UDP platform after we stood down in the election, including Grand Bahama platform of digital, central, cultural and heritage in West Grand Bahama and ECHO and whatever and East Grand Bahama and a whole host of other different things. But we made this argument concerning the rights of Bahamians, unregistered, undocumented, whatever we wanted to think of undocumented Bahamians.
See, Alan, we can't hear you.
Hold on a second. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. We've made this argument. Just let me fix my mic because again, For some reason, I'm on this phone and everybody feels it's necessary. Call the show if you want to talk.
The number to call is 828-3543. 828-3543 is the number to call. The number to text is 828-2543. So yeah, stop calling Seattle on this phone and call the show. Okay, right. Finish your point.
All right. Right. Louis Georges can tell you for a number of years we've made the same argument that Greg Morse and I have made this exact same argument. But we know that there is about a block of 20,000 voters in this so-called immigrant type environment that he's now appealing to, because this becomes a desperate move for Grand Bahama, 8 Mile Rock, and the Abacos. Those about 4 to 5 seats that he's now making an appeal to. He's also making an appeal to New Providence, to a demographics of individual that will now believe that they will have access to land should the menace continue. Let me tell you what it is.
We have a caller, Seattle. Caller, I need you to turn on your radio for me, please. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, caller. We're listening.
You ready for me to speak?
Yes, we are.
Okay, Michelle, how are you?
Great, thank you.
Hi, Seattle and Johnson. I'm acquainted with you both, but let me say this. What I would like to see coming from the political arena is less of what we all know and more of what we don't know, which is vision. We are in a place of ineptitude, corruption, or incompetence, if I may say. I want to hear where are we gonna go under the proposed proponent for office? Okay? What vision do we have for education? We know the incompetence of the FNM. Every Bahamian is quite aware of that. Put it this way, every voting Bahamian is aware of the incompetence of the FNM. It isn't a matter of corruption, more so incompetence. Every Bahamian knows of the entrenched corrupt culture of the PLT. That set aside, what vision do the proponents for elected office have to take the Bahamas? Where do you want to take our education system? Where do you want to take our transportation system? What do you have in place? What underlying principles of structure? I want to hear more proposals and less criticism, because you can criticize, but what you're saying in terms of criticism, we are already aware. We know. We want to get rid of all. What do we replace them with? Why do you say, or they say, that they have that they can replace them with? Okay, Michelle?
All right, thank you.
Well, you want me?
Yeah,
okay.
I'd like you to
Thank
answer
you.
MCL.
Let me just
for calling.
Let me answer him. First of all, right, we're having a discussion. Most people, in spite of what you think, do not know about the political games that are being played, because many of us are just in survival mode. If we knew about the politics that has been played for the last 8 years, we wouldn't be in the position we are, because we would rise up.
You'd realize you're being played. Yeah.
We've been played. So what I'm simply saying, now the question he asked is a good conversation for another show as to what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
But first of all, it says you cannot manage what you cannot measure, but you cannot measure what you are incapable of or refuse to acknowledge. Mm-hmm. And so it's only when we begin to look in retrospect of something that you and I predicted would happen that we can realize that, well, these individuals brought the truth. They brought credit. So we have to also understand that what we spoke about is still in play.
Still in play. Yeah.
And the question is,
game continues.
And so the question then becomes, we need to make a demand, as he say, of our leadership. But that's not where you and I made that demand. That's where we, as a nation, must make a demand as to solutions, instead of simply saying the softball issues, we're going to make things better. We're going to do housing, like what Minister is doing right now with the Haitian community. Ask him, how are we to build homes when we have no access to resources? Yes, you can give us land. In fact, you're not giving us land, you're selling us land. And anytime you have land, I want people to understand, if the land you're trying to buy exceeds 2 years of your income, you cannot afford it. So when land in New Providence is 150,000 and you make less than $25,000 a year, it is not meant for you. And so, and here's where it comes to when you said the missionary benefits. Tomorrow, if Minnis wants to, he can make Rolls-Royce duty-free for every Bahamian, knowing that the average Bahamian cannot afford
people
it.
could afford that. Yeah, yeah.
So even though he's talking about these people living in dilapidated positions, and I can tell you, if you put 40,000 people of Haitian descent in that box of living in those conditions, I could take you to Bainstown, Angliston, and I can take you to Lewis Yard, Mactan, Freetown. I can take you to all over in Grand Bahama and other places and show you 3 times, 4 times that amount of people living in the same conditions. So why isn't Miss talking about affordable housing, not low income, affordable housing for all?
Why only this specific
affordable housing? So right, because he's talking to them because he's trying to manipulate them into become a voting bloc for him to win.
Yes.
And Bahamians should be insulted. In fact, the Haitian community leadership, if they are considered themselves Bahamians as he proclaimed, they as Bahamians should be insulted that he thinks that they are stupid enough to fall for his linguistic contortionism. And so we as Bahamians, answering the call, we as Bahamians, we have to collect individually and collectively demand more. But he has starts not from Minnis, not from Kamalafi, not from Brave Davis. Those individuals who are knocking on your door in your constituency, if they believe that Brave Davis is the singular solution for the Bahamas, they don't deserve to sit in the House of Assembly. If the F&M party don't see the trouble with Minnis as their leader, and he is their singular solution for us, and we done tried it for 4 years, they don't sit in the House of Assembly. If Kamalafi, the people who support Kamalafi can't explain to you, then they don't. Maybe we do have to consider an independent movement, not as a party, independence. Because what I'm simply saying is that ask them, what is your vision for my constituents, for my island, and for my country, and see if they, okay, let me move again.
You're breaking up. While you're working on your technical side, let me read a couple of comments. This actually was a text sent to us. It says, "Good morning, Michelle and C. Allen. Say what you want about Donald Trump. He protected America's borders. He didn't give away land to illegals. He did not allow illegal building of houses. More blacks had jobs under Trump than Obama. Dr. Minnis, Darren Henfield, Frankie Campbell, and especially Ellsworth Johnson need to resign. He was ridiculous on Adrian's show." Let me go to a couple of your comments here on Facebook. Wow. Okay, so this one is by Joe. Joe says, "The PM is highly intelligent. Many underestimate him and think he is incompetent, but he is playing chess with the Bahamian people while making moves to protect his own political career. Everything he does is for his benefit. He recently opened a few passport offices on the Family Islands so that he can get illegals straight so they can vote for him. He also continues to manipulate the competent authority title to protect himself from being removed from the FNM." Oh boy,
that is right on cue.
Yes. Okay. You know what? Let's get it out of the way, because if we get into another topic, we're gonna go way past our commercial time. So let's take our final commercial break of the show, and then when we come back, we're gonna bring this all home. So stay with us. We're talking political chess moves on GPS today. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Ocean blue is the best in seafood, hey. Fresh out the water and affordable too, yeah. We got fish, conch, lobster, shrimp, everything you want. Ocean blue got it. Ocean blue, friendly and clean, best service you ever seen. Ocean blue is the best in seafood, yeah. Fresh out the water and affordable too, yeah. Ocean blue seafood, we are here for you. Ocean blue seafood, no one else will do. Ocean blue.
Want to look your best. Want to look your best and feel even better? Visit JD Edwards Salon and Spa for the ultimate beauty, body, and anti-aging treatments, offering custom colors, haircuts, vegan anti-freeze treatments, silk blowouts, natural and acrylic nails, unisex pedicures, facials, and massages, all waxing services, and microcurrent therapies for anti-aging and body sculpting. JD Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madeira Street, telephone 326-7863. At the Gladstone Road Farmers Market, we provide you with the freshest produce, eggs, meat, and more. But what you don't see makes a difference too, like the care our farmers put into growing and raising that food for your family, the fewer miles that food travels from the farm to your plate, and the dollars you are keeping in our local community. Our open-air market is every Friday and Saturday. Come visit us, and be sure to look for the GPS-endorsed flyer. COVID-19 has affected all of us, but it won't stop us from serving you with a smile, even under the mask. Gladstone Road Farmers Market, home of fresh.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplement, builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
And welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm, and my guests today are talking about political chess moves, what do elections, shanty towns, and resignations have in common. And my guest today is C. Alan Johnson. C. Alan, before we jump back into the conversation, I want to read a couple of the comments that are here on our Facebook page. Bertha says, Minister, swing some of y'all again, just like he did in 2017 to get in Parliament. Then he can hike up every tax again on the backs of the poor, and it will definitely be the people's time again, the white oligarchs and the Haitians. Dorinda says, now I understand why these political leaders try to discredit persons like Allen and Bain. They don't want them to educate the Bahamian people, but we no longer in darkness. Dorinda also says crafty at the highest level, cat and mouse. Let's see what else we got here. I know we have a lot of comments and I haven't been able to get to them. So Catherine says, I feel the Lord will close every door, tourism and everything else, and we as a country will have to revert to what he has given us, our natural resources. So this election will determine where we are headed as a country. Let's see. Lisa says, oh, what a tangled web these politicians have and are weaving. We must get wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And in all our getting, we must get an understanding of what has been happening and what we as a people can do to prevent it from going further and to safeguard ourselves from it happening again. Sarah says, Michelle, this show is such an education and an eye-opener. Thank you, Sarah. That was the plan. I want you guys to like and share the show. Like and share the show so we can get this word out, because these people think we stupid. They don't think we got enough sense to see what they doing. That's, it's just ludicrous that they think that they can get away with this. And you know what? They can, because they have for so long. But we have to decide that we're going to draw a line in the sand, and we're not going to allow these people to continue to swing us again and again and again. Because, if you swing me the first time, shame on you. But if I let you swing me the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth time, no, shame on me. for being stupid enough for allowing you to do it to me again and again and again. So that is why I wanted to do a show like this, to bring you, like I said at the beginning of the show, I ain't trying to tell you what to think. All I'm doing is putting the information in front of you, so that whenever you go to the electorate, to the ballot box, whether it be in May, as C. Allen is predicting it will be if the man don't find the money he needs, or January of next year if he does, whenever you go, I want you to go as an informed, educated voter who makes your decision not based on some emotional attachment to a particular party, because that's how your Grammy vote and that's how your mommy vote and that's how you can vote for the rest of your... No, enough of that. Let's make some educated, informed decisions based on the issues that are facing this country and where we want to see our country go. C. Allen. So
Michelle, before you start, let me make a point. One of the individuals spoke concerning let me just shut this off here. One of the individuals spoke concerning what we're going to do about the caller and then the individuals about our natural resources. I want you to understand why Pintard was targeted to be assassinated, why he was not to get the nomination. That bill that he brought, called the that fisheries bill, was a direct attack of special interests and oligarchs controlling our blue economy, our ocean economy. A lot of people did not listen to the little subtleties that he put in that bill. So essentially, there's about 3 or 4 things that happened in this battle that was for the benefit of Bahamians, but very few may have understand, because we were in the struggle for our life. One of the most powerful bills was the bill that Michael Pintard did, that moved $1 trillion industry exclusively for Bahamians. The problem is we have not been able to have a conversation on how to exploit it. This is why when you saw, without provocation, Hubert Alexander Ingram came out and opposed the bill by trying to conflate and convolute it, making it a citizenship bill when it was strictly a bill on resources. It was at that particular time, without anybody cueing him, he made a statement that caused minutes to accelerate this campaign. Go back and watch the news. Without anybody asking him, Hubert Alexander Ingram said this, exact quote.
Menace.
No, Ingram said this. This caused Menace to panic.
Oh, okay.
He said, when he was talking about this bill that Pintard brought, he says that the position that that Peter Turnquest take represents a position that he has. He says they represent the future of the F&M party. Sands and Turnquest represents the future of the F&M party. They are the captain's pick.
Okay.
What he means by saying that, he was saying we're about to go into a conclave. That was in December. We're going to go into a conclave very shortly, and these are my 2 picks, leader and deputy leader. So this is why Peter Turnquest ended up in his chaos. At the same time, you had Michael Pintard that brought a bill that went against the very essence of individuals in the PLP and F&M who sits in the House of Assembly and Senate right now, who are making billions of dollars from this $1 trillion resources that we don't benefit from. And so essentially, that was the bill, the most powerful bill. That alone, in my personal opinion, should get Michael Pintard an unopposed election back to the House of Assembly, if we could ever find out what the power of that was. The next bill that was brought was the one called the Digital Assets Bill. And if you understand what that is, literally speaking for Bahamians, that bill will play a major role in the rebuilding of the Bahamas, because it allows Bahamians to print their own money. We'll do a show on that. Believe it or not, that became such a threat that the central bank shifted its policy position even on the sand dollar. So instead, because the sand dollar itself, another contribution was also was about to dismantle the banks in the Bahamas and the central bank itself by moving the majority of the unbanked Bahamians into a banking type environment. Now, when you take, so you have that, then there was a policy position of not needing cabinet or the economic council approval or central bank to bring an amount into the Bahamas for less than 10 million. When you combine these three things together, there is no need for government, for banks, or anything else. Essentially, what these individuals did, they followed the noise in the marketplace of individuals like myself. Mind you, they knew the recipe. They went to the store and they didn't know the recipe, they knew the ingredients. They went to the store and got all the ingredients. The problem is nobody has a recipe to bring them together. So, in essence, this is also a threat to the oligarchs. This is where you saw another company just popped up with alliance with Visa and MasterCard, and you see these currency coins coming up because they are becoming interceptors of this new economy that was birthed out of COVID, that actually turns over the behemoth economy to them. This is why the oligarchs in this next election, money's gonna be like dirt to convince us to continue on the same regime, when typically, I'm saying to you, we can make, I'm not exaggerating this, I challenge the economists, we can make between 10 to 20,000 Bahamian millionaire families in 5 years. If, ands, and but. We don't need the banks. We have the brand and we have the resources. And I'm not talking about the Aragonite and San and the whole selling thing. I'm talking about the intangible quality and power that this possess. But if we fall into this political game trap that is being played by these political parties, we will continue, like Miles Monroe, so we will be going back into the wilderness because we will not get another opportunity. We may not. I won't say we will not. We may not get another opportunity to correct this. But this is the greatest economic shift there is. And we are being dazzled. Like they say, if they can't get us with brilliance, dazzle them with BS. And that's what Minister is doing.
Okay, I want to read a comment on Facebook from Siobhan. It says, I agree with C. Allen, but most Bahamians are so gullible for any handout. They don't read and research anything, just like the hype moment. BS, most people can't afford those properties. And she also says a little later on, these administrators just know how to use and abuse the voters to get that tech. Wake up and don't fall for it, please, my people. So she has a very valid point. And, you know, when people have been hurting for as long as so many of our people have been hurting with the fallout from COVID, people are in a desperate place right now.
Michael Pintard gave you the solution. If you go to his budget debate, he mentioned something. He said, there's $5 billion of carbon credits that we could use. He inserted that in his debate. He told you where the money was. The problem is that opens, what Michael Pintard proposed in his bill opens a Pandora box, because you're not now talking about $5 billion. You're talking about multiples of tens of billions of dollars that eliminates the need for borrowing. Anyone, I challenge him, go back to Michael Pintard speech. I don't know what inspired him to move into this direction. It could be, and let me go back to saying, should the FNM remove itself? Technically, there will only be two leadership based on the current lineup that Minister is bringing into play. Michael Pintard will most likely be what's called a natural leader for a new 21st century Bahamas. But then you will have now Dwayne Sands, if he wins this Elizabeth seat, will then come in with the support of the oligarchs. And so this is where you saw the shift happening. And this is where I said the protector, Minister promised Renwood Wells that he would be the leader to succeed him if he do 2 terms. So Minister was trying to eliminate anyone who could challenge Renwood Wells or anyone else by taking out all the legacy FNMs, taking out Pintard as what is called a natural leadership aspect that could challenge for it. So by purging the legacy, by not nominating certain people, you will see a whole new virgin FNM where he gets to anoint, the way Hubert Alexander Ingram did, anoint the new leadership of the FNM.
But there's a problem though, because certain things have happened that he didn't anticipate, like this Lanisha Rose situation.
Right.
So it's not as easy as, you know, because things are happening that are out of his control, that are affecting his ability to do that.
But I wouldn't underestimate him, because remember, Minutes governs for minutes. No, I'm saying you. See, if you begin to look and say if you say, well, he wouldn't do this again because it'll hurt Bahamians, forget that. Minutes don't care about us. Minutes love Minutes. And so for the F&M to survive as a party, I don't care what the strength of the F&M would be right now to go and remove Minutes at all costs, including a vote of no confidence, because we're going to a poll anyway. And maybe the Bahamas may, just for some twinkling, have a suggestion that maybe the party will change because you have a new leader. But it cannot be the move to the same oligarch families. That's where the problem is. So it'll be naturally you make a move to remove Minutes by a vote of no confidence. Almost, I can tell you, Dwayne Sands by the oligarch church will be him, not someone else in it, because no one person has the solution for the trouble the Bahamas is in. It is a leader that can bring us together collectively. And so the F&M would have to look to Pintard or someone else who can speak to a whole new generation of leadership. And then the same thing with the PLP, because the PLP, considering that Minutes has laid the leadership bar on the ground, should have made tremendous inroad. We are now beginning to see that the PLP within itself is being reshaped by 2 or 3 factions within the coils, and a dark horse is an architect of the chaos within the PLP, using the forces against themselves so that he may survive as leader of the party. And so, and that's a whole nother story with the PLP. It's just as twists and turns as much as the F&M. They just don't have as many factions pulling against each other, and they have not yet got the baton.
Wow. I want to read a couple of comments. This one says, well, I got to read this. It says, Michelle, please put your show on cable. You know how much money that costs? We need sponsors, y'all. These things cost money. So if you own a business, if you like our shows, myself and Adrian Francis with National Access, give us a call. Call it, WhatsApp 805-6430, 805-6430. Let us know that you have a business that you'd like to advertise. We have lots of really great rates and really innovative packages that we can put together to make sure that your show is promoted. But this ain't cheap, y'all. It costs money to do this. So, you know, put your money where your mouth is and support us. Okay, so let me get back to the topic of the show. Felicia says, there is so much criticism among the parties about what the other's incompetence or corruption, but not enough discussion on plans for the future of the Bahamas. As voters, we have to demand more from people seeking to lead our country. We have no time for who hands in the cookie jar talk or personal biographies while no vision is being offered. Everyone needs to ask aspiring politicians and current politicians, what is their vision for their constituency and the country? Now, this goes back to what that caller was talking about, C. Allen.
Yes.
And that is demanding more from these people who say they want to lead us.
And here's what to do. When you ask your individual people who are walking, your aspirants or candidates, make sure you have your camera on so the rest of the Bahamas can see. 2 things. They must either answer, say they're ignorant, or show their ignorance. So put on your cameras. When you see them walk in your community, if you see them in the food store, run up on them, even if you're not in their constituency. Say, hey, I hear you're running for Bamboo Town. Tell me your vision for Bamboo Town and the rest of the Bahamas. I know the people in Bamboo Town may not get to see you like I do. And I'm going to be doing the same thing here in Grand Bahama. I don't care what constituency you're in. I'm going to run up on you. In fact, I'm going to go on a hunting game to find out what is your vision for Grand Bahama and for the entire Bahamas. We are in crisis, and this is no time for I'm less incompetent, I'm less inept, I'm less incapable than anyone else. I'm less corrupt than the other guy. We need people, you know, that's straight out genuine and that actually have a vision for the new Bahamas.
So Catherine is asking a question. Please tell us the plan to get us out of this. How do the people call checkmate on this chess player?
Well, exactly what the people are asking for. Find individuals. They want you to vote for F&M and PLP. Here's the problem. F&M, PLP, nor DNA is not running in any constituency. People are. And so if you don't question their competency and their capability, you will have people who will follow the legacy failures that we've had of political parties. This is where it becomes important for you to collectively, even in groups of 5, find those independent candidates. If the others can't answer your question, find the independent candidates within your community and ask them what is their vision, and vote for the person who is best capable, ignoring every color. Go by the name, go by the person. Because if you vote for a party, you have now elected a party rather than a person to govern you. Because the person is going to follow the whip of the party and falling in line and doing what the party says. That's the choice you made. This is a very good time for us to choose individuals to go into the House of Assembly. Imagine even if you have a group of enough independents in there to shift. I tell people, even for Grand Bahama, we need at least 2 individuals from Grand Bahama that don't belong to any political party. Someone can bring a bill and table it and watch how the rest of the Bahamians vote against it. For the people of Grand Bahama, and the most important thing is also to become involved now, but to continue involvement after election is the most powerful time of political action committees. The same way you have the oligarchs that petition and fight for what they want, you have not because you ask not. If a group of you take possession of your constituency and make sure how the oligarchs say, we don't want any taxes, or we want this law or that law, you have not gotten together to demand the law you want. Right now, today, if you want to solve our social crisis, find everybody around you, reach out to me, reach out to Michelle, and we'll talk to you on getting a sovereign wealth fund. Not the garbage they tell you. Here's what it has to say. We want all assets to the Bahamas, known and unknown, tangible and intangible, to be deposited into a sovereign wealth fund, to be managed by a sovereign asset management company with no interference from the political class. And you will begin to realize that the wealth and the trillions of dollars that will be deposited for your exploitation, they don't need to wait. Have them do it right now. Don't say, we'll put it as part of our manifesto. Make them commit to the things that you want right now. You want a promise of no taxes? Make your candidates commit to it right now, publicly, on video. So you can call them out. You can post it on Facebook and say, see, this man is a liar. Make them commit to say, I want you going to the, for those sitting right now, you want to be reelected? Go into the House right now, and let me hear at the next session, during the time when you speak at the end, you calling for a sovereign wealth fund in the manner for which I demanded.
Well, you see, Alan, here's the challenge with that. In order for them to do what you just recommended they do, they have to have, and I ain't gonna make the same mistake homeboy made, because I know what I'm saying. They have to have testicular fortitude or ovarian audacity.
Absolutely.
They have
but
to
this way you find out
the spine to stand up to this man. That's what it's going to boil down to. They have to have the spine. Right
and
now,
FNMs.
It seems that we got a bunch of jellyback, spineless people who's scared to stick their neck out there for fear that their head is going to get chopped off by a dictator. That's how it seems.
But Michelle, if they won't stand up to him now, they won't stand up to him when he has the gun again. So this is why you have them who want to run for election. For those individuals in the FNM who is afraid to commit to the people rather than to menace, I say don't vote for them. Look at all the other options. Because they can fix this now. Even for candidates who are replacing those who are sitting in. Tell them to say the minutes now what your intent is. And if they don't commit to it now, do not vote for them. And if PLP candidates do not commit to what you want, do not vote for them. The most powerful tool you have is in your hand. Record them. Record them, asking them the questions. Don't go, I'm a PLP attacking them. Just say, hey, look at your personal economy. Ask them, how are they intending empowering you and your family? How are they intending on moving you to ownership of homes and the economy and businesses? The individuals, and make them commit on camera and say, this is a record. You're a man of your word. You say you're going into the House of Assembly based on integrity. Say what you mean right now and mean what you say, and this will stand as a record as to you being, your reputation, your character being one and the same.
I ain't gonna hold my breath. I know about you. And I hope that there are sufficient people listening to this conversation who will decide that that is exactly what they will do. Demand more from these people.
But Michelle, let me show you the pop. There's 6,000 voters in most of the larger constituencies on Grand Bahama and New Providence. Here's what happens. Put yourself into 5. Adopt 5 individuals to fight with. Here's what you do. 5 individuals reaching out to 5 people at level 1 is 25. At level 2 is 125. Level 3 is 625. Level 4 is 3,100, I think. And at level 5 is 15,000 people. All you have to do is 5. Find 5 people to join you and begin to think the way you do and encourage them to duplicate themselves. Let them get 5 with 5. And you'll be amazed at the fact that there's only 6,000 voters, but your reach have just reached 15,000. So if one person in each of our constituency do that, we could very easily have 40 times 50,000 people, meaning that we have contacted them 2 and 3 times. It only takes you to make the desire for change. Your life is on the line right now with COVID. The ERC has brought back no plans, nothing. So unless you now stand up, ministers will continue to play this game of political chess without any regards for us. We have shown you, Michelle and I, this is our 3rd or 4th show on the subject, and we have been within 95% to 99% accuracy. We're not telling you how we feel. We're telling you what the formula we see yields. I don't care what the formula yields these results. And ministers playing the game, and ministers himself do not deserve to lead us for another term. If the FNM want to give us another leader for consideration, let's do that. But if minister remains as part of the FNM, I would put to you that 90% of them should not return. And for those who intend to return, should stand up and tell us what they intend to do in opposition to the position, to the direction minister is taking us.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, C. Allen. In spite of that 95% accuracy, they still gonna try to discredit what's being said here today. And that's how you know, if you're out there watching and looking in, that's how you know that these people are being disingenuous, because the history has shown that what we predicted would happen is happening. And if they're going to try to come with smoke and mirrors and say, oh, you shouldn't listen to them, and they just, then that could tell you where their heart is. I want to close this out with a statement, comment on Facebook posted by Lisa. She says, checkmate them by electing the person with integrity and that has the best interests of the Bahamian people at heart. Stop voting for Grammy's party that has us in the wilderness for over 40 years. It's time to possess the promised land, people. Okay, I'm going to give you 1 minute to wrap this up. How do you respond to that sentiment? And where do we go?
I'm in total agreement of that. We must look forward. We must not allow these people to, what they call is to dress up the past as opposed to embracing the future. Mm-hmm. We must look to the future. We must look for conversation that can be authenticated. Understand that many of the people that you take as professionals are singing the language of the oligarchs. Understand that the chamber is a political party or a union for business owners. They are not your friends. So stop believing that what they tell you is in your interest. You must find out your own personal economy, demand more, and you will get more. Thank you so much.
See, Alan, it's always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing these golden nuggets with us, this wealth of information. And all we can do is put it out there and hope that it doesn't just go in one ear and come out the next. We have to hope that it takes root and people understand and see what's
Tell
really.
them to trust us, but verify what we said.
Yeah, like I said, I'm only presenting the information to you. You choose what you do with it. Yeah, Alan, thank you so much for being here today, man. I really appreciate you. So listen, y'all, that's it for our show today. The time is gone. But like and share this show, people. Get the word out that we are being played like a fiddle. And it's up to you to do what you need to do to stop getting played. Time for us to say, checkmate. I'm out of here, y'all. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for being a part of GPS today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, so that means it's going to be TGIF Open Line Show. And I'm going to invite you to call in and Get off your mind whatever is on your chest. Get off your chest whatever's on your mind. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Have a good day, all.